Hello and welcome to the DATAcated Power BI tutorials. In this video, we're actually going to go over some dashboard formatting tips for Power BI. The first thing we're going to do here is actually build our first dashboard. So let's go ahead and put 3 or 4 charts into our little dashboard here so we can go ahead and walk through some of the formatting options. The first chart I'll put into the view is a donut chart, and we're actually going to look at sales by category. So I selected the donut. We're going to select the category field, and we're going to go ahead and select the sales field. So we've got sales by category. The other chart I'd like to bring in is sales by state. So let's go ahead and select state and select sales. And we've got sales by state map view over here. It'll also be good to include a line chart or line graph. So let's go ahead and bring in order date, and we'll look at sales over time. So we'll include sales. We can actually go ahead and use these double arrows to go to the next level in the hierarchy. So then we have a quarterly view, or we can have a monthly view. And last but not least, let's go ahead and bring in a scatter plot, and we'll look at sales and profit by subcategory. All right, so one thing we can actually play with is if we click on the view, we can actually select different themes. So see what happens when I switch to a classic theme or a classroom theme, or here's a city park theme. You could see all the colors change, and that was the default theme. Here we've got bloom with a bright purple background. We can actually expand that and go with a dark background if we wanted to. So plenty of options here. Let's go ahead and stick with the classic theme for now. Now, if we wanted to format each of these charts separately, we can actually click into, for example, the donut chart first, and we need to switch to format. What that does is it provides us several options. We've got legends, data colors, detailed labels, shapes, title, background, locking aspect ratio general, and all of those details. Clicking on different charts, it actually changes the layout of the formatting tool. As you can see, now we have bubbles. We didn't have that option before. Go into the scatter plot, and again, it changes the formatting options. So each of these chart types have their own little formatting specifics that we can work with. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the donut chart. And by the way, when I clicked on technology, as you see, everything updated. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but these are basically filtering the visual using this action filter in the donut chart. You can actually click, let's say in this case, copiers, and it's going to update all the charts for representing copiers only. All right, but in this video, I'm going to focus on formatting. So let's go ahead and look at the general. So here we've got data volume. We can go ahead and look at the x-axis. So linear x-axis, we are not going to change the start and end dates. We can change the fonts. We can change the title color, grid lines, stroke width. So there's so many different ways we can go ahead and format the x-axis and the y-axis. Okay, let's go ahead into data colors. So it shows you that technology is green, furniture is this dark gray, and office supplies is red. We can actually go ahead and update. Let's say we wanted office supplies to be a different shade of maybe purple, and we've got green, and maybe furniture, we can change that to a deeper yellow. So you can go ahead and play with the colors, and we can select custom colors if we really wanted. So that's pretty cool. Detailed labels, we've got them on. We could turn them off, so you saw the labels go away. Label category, we can go ahead and change that. You can maybe show a % of total instead. Let's see what that does, right? We can go ahead and show the category plus the % of total. I think that's helpful, because sometimes with donuts and pie charts, it's not clear to see, which pie or slice is bigger than the other. We can show percentages, decimal points. We can increase the text size of the labels here. Let's go ahead and increase that to maybe 14. We can change where the labels are positioned, so they could be inside, they could be outside. This actually doesn't look too bad, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it as inside. For shapes, we can go ahead and play with the sizing. As you could see, the donut became more of a donut, and now it became a bigger hole in the middle. So we can go ahead and play with the sizing to see what looks best. The title, so we've got the title on, and it's sales by category. I think the title itself is great. We can go ahead and change the size of the title. So if we use size font 14 for the labels, I'd say maybe using something like size 20 for the text size of the title. And we can actually change the font color, because right now it's gray. You can barely see it, so we can make it a little bit more prominent, make it black. We can align it in the center. I think that looks great. Continue scrolling down. You could change the font type if you wanted to, change the font type to an Arial black. That looks good as well. For background, we can turn background on and off. We can actually change the color of the background. Let's say you wanted a light yellow background for some reason, we can do that. I'm going to go ahead and turn the background off because I like to keep it nice and clean. General settings it's really the XY positioning, the way, the height and the width of the chart. We can turn borders on and off. I prefer to have them off. I think they're a little bit cluttery. Shadows, we can turn shadows on. This way it looks like the chart itself is kind of on a shadow, but I'm going to go ahead and turn that off as well. Lots of customization and formatting options, as you can see here. And I know I'm going pretty fast here, but I'm just really trying to show you what's possible. Tooltips, we've got the tooltips on, which means when we hover over a chart, we have more information. One thing we can do for tooltips is we can actually add something else to tooltips, and I'll show you how to do that right now. But for now, let's say we wanted to change background colors for tooltips. We can actually change that to a green. So now when you hover, instead of dark gray, you see a green. Definitely can play with all of that formatting. We can increase the transparency for tooltips. So when we hover, it's a little bit more transparent, so it's not getting in the way of other things. And then there are just so many different things that you can update. The cool part is, and I'm going to show you this as an example, maybe with the labels, right? We can go ahead, scroll down to that section and click revert to default. And it's going to go ahead and revert to the default settings. And I'm going to Control Z that because I actually like the settings we came up with. But for some reason, if you wanted to change something, go back to original. You don't have to unclick everything or uncheck everything. You can simply click revert to default, and you have that option under every criteria. You have it under title. You have it under almost every single formatting option. All right, now that we've updated the donut chart, let's go ahead and look at some of the options for the line graph here. So we've got sales by month. The title I think is fine. Let's go ahead and make that black as well. And we're gonna go ahead and change the text size. Let's make it consistent and keep it at 20. Let's go ahead and increase that there. And we're going to align it in the center. I believe we changed the font to Arial black. It looks nice and prominent, definitely stands out. All right, so what else can we change here? All right, let's just go through all of the options. So we've got the x-axis, it's on, it's categorical, color is fine. We can maybe increase the font a little bit. We can go ahead and scroll down. Y-axis, let's go ahead and increase that as well. By the way, if you wanted to change the position for some reason from left to right, you can change the axis here. I'm going to keep it at left just because that's what most people are used to seeing. You can change the scale type from linear. You can change the font type again here, make it a little bit bigger. Go ahead and keep that at 12. Display units, I think it's fine to keep it in thousands. We could have the title, which is sales, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory, so we're going to keep that off. Grid lines, I'm going to go ahead and turn grid lines off. If you wanted to actually change the grid lines, you can change the color. I'll just show you how to play with it here. You can change it to blue. You can make them really thick. I know this is not looking great, but I just want to show you that you have all these options. Let's say you wanted a dashed grid line. I'm going to go ahead and turn them off completely because I think it's going to look cleaner without them. In terms of data colors, I think for sales, let's just go ahead and use a black color and make that nice prominent black line. All right, we're going to go ahead and click on shapes, and if you actually increase the stroke width, you will see that the line thickness is increasing. So let's go ahead and make it maybe a 7 or maybe a 5. A 7 looks a little bit too thick. All right, the joint types, you can have a miter, you can have round, you can have bevel. So here's what that looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with round. The line type, again, you can change this to, let's say we wanted a dotted line for some reason. You can also show the marker, and you could change the marker shape, right? If you wanted little diamonds at each of the markers. You could change the marker color if you wanted that to be red for some reason. We can go ahead and change that. We can turn stepped on and off, so this way it looks like it's in steps, so that's another feature that you have here. Plot area, so plot area, you can actually add an image. So if this is sales by month, we can actually add like a seasonal image in the background. So I've got a seasons image we can use as an example. So I'm gonna go ahead, go to add image and select seasons. And you'll see that I've got the seasonal image in there, and it's asking me for the fit. Instead of normal, I'm gonna click fit, and it actually is going to fit the chart. So I think that's actually pretty cool because we see all the different seasons. We can go ahead and increase or decrease the transparency. Let's increase it to about 70, maybe a little bit more, so it doesn't interfere with our line, but we have the seasons there. Obviously you can play with this and make it your own. I just want to show you all the little features and functionalities. Okay, moving down, we've got all the same features about borders that we already went through. We've got tooltips. And in this case, I'm actually going to show you something for the tooltip. So right now, when I hover over a data point, it gives me the month and it gives me the sales total. But let's say I also wanted profit. And what I'm actually going to do is, while I'm in this chart, I'm going to switch here and scroll down a bit to where it says tooltip. And I'm going to take the profit and place it on the tooltip. What happens now is it adds our title, sales and profit by month. And then when you hover, it actually shows us the sales and the profit numbers for September. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the map view. And if we wanted to, we can make this a little bit smaller, like this. Make this a little bit smaller, like that. There is, in fact, something you can do in the view pane where it says snap to grid. You can see grid lines, so you can format accordingly. You can lock objects. So I'm going to leave it to snap to grid. So it basically helps you snap your images to the grid. I'm going to expand this map a little bit, and I'm going to expand this scatter plot a little bit as well. Okay, in the map view, again, we've got some different formatting options, starting with data colors. So let's go ahead and, what if we make that black again? We're going to scroll down. The other thing we can actually do here for the colors, if we click on the FX, this is really cool. It actually allows us to do divergent colors. So if we wanted to, let's say, go from orange to blue diverging, it's pretty easy to do that. Let me go from orange to maybe a darker blue like this. Darker orange to darker blue. This one. Okay, and we're gonna click OK. So you're gonna see that the bigger circles basically are a shader blue and the smaller circles are orange or brighter orange. All right, we're going to go ahead and scroll down. We have options for bubbles, right? Do we want to increase the sizes of the bubbles? Maybe a little bit. I think that looks okay. Maybe it's a little bit too big. I'll move it to a 7 here. Category labels, we currently have them off. If we have them on, it's actually going to give us the state labels. I think that's a little bit too many states. Map controls is if you want zoom buttons or auto zoom. Map styles, now we've got different themes. So we've got aerial, and I'll just show you a couple of the options. We've got dark, right? We've got light. We've got grayscale, which is also not too bad. And then we've got road, that's the one we started with. I think the aerial one is pretty cool, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it as the aerial. The heat map, we can go ahead and turn the heat map on. We can turn it off. The title, again, we can turn it on and off. And if we were to update the title, we'll leave the sales by state, but let's go ahead and update the color to black, and let's change the alignment to center, and then the text size, we can actually just type in 20. Oh, and then I remember the font family. We had it as Arial Black. All right, again, we can change the background, the locking aspect ratio, general border, shadows, tooltips, and all those other options we've already walked through in other charts. All right, the last chart we're going to go through here is this scatter plot. So when we click on the scatter plot, let's go ahead and scroll all the way up. We've got some general settings. Let's leave those as is. We've got the x-axis, it's on. Obviously, we need both axes on. Let's just go ahead and maybe increase the font size to a 12. And let's go ahead and change the y-axis as well. All right, now those are both our 12. We can see them a little bit nicer. Grid lines, we can actually keep these on, and we can maybe color them a very light shade of blue, and maybe also change the style to a dashed style. There we go. Those grid lines are looking cool. Data colors. All right, here again, let's go ahead and click on the FX and maybe use a similar approach where we got the orangish red, and then we've got this darker blue color here. And then you can clearly see that the lower values have the red and the higher values have the blue. All right, let's go ahead and go to shape. We can increase the size of the bubbles here. We can change it to a square if we wanted to. I think let's go ahead and leave it as a circle. I think it looks good as a circle. Plot area, again, we can put an image behind this. We won't in this case, but we can if we wanted to. Fill point, we can actually have these be empty circles, or we can have them be filled circles. And if we let's go ahead and update the title here as well. And I know by now you're probably really proficient at updating the title, but I do like to be consistent. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly change the size and the type of the font so we're consistent on our titles, because I think it just looks a lot better when we're consistent. All right, well, this actually shows you a lot of the formatting options in Power BI. We can go ahead and look at this, let's say fit to width, or we can let's fit to page to make sure that image actually fits. And this is our dashboard right here. I'm going to go ahead and move the camera here so you can see. We can hover. We have all these other data points we can potentially add on the tooltip. And we walk through so many formatting tips, and truly hope this was helpful for you in seeing some of the possibilities in Power BI. All right, I hope this was really helpful for you in terms of seeing some of the options that you have in formatting your Power BI charts and dashboards. In case you're interested, I do have a course out there called the Data to Dashboard with Power BI on DATAcatedacademy.com that you can go ahead and check out.